So continuing with the summer report series, we're heading to Northern California as we take a look at the San Jose Sharks. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe as we take a look at the San Jose Sharks. So the San Jose Sharks, a team that had pretty high expectations going into last season, had a pretty good regular season, a pretty good playoff run as well, but unfortunately they came up short of the ultimate goal of getting not only back to the Stanley Cup Finals, but winning the Stanley Cup. They fell short of both of those, unfortunately, last season. But there's hope for this season. They still have Erik Karlsson. They just brought back Joe Thornton. This team is going to continue to, especially with how weak that division is, some would argue, including myself, that that's probably the weakest division in the NHL right now. They still have an opportunity and a window to continue to make the playoffs and make a couple more runs before the end of pretty much an era there in San Jose. Now, taking a look at the salary cap, players that are going to be free agents next season. It's not too crazy, but there are a couple of names. They have no money left in salary cap space at this point, so let's get that out of the way. And that's going to be difficult because next season they have a bunch of guys that are pretty important pieces to this team that may be hitting the free agent market next July 1st. Starting that off, we have some of the forwards. We have Kevin Labanc, Melker Karlsson, and then on the back end, you have Brendan Dillon and Tim Heed. So those are some pretty important depth players for this team here in San Jose. We don't know how much more left is in guys like Joe Thornton, and you need guys to fill in that top six. So with injuries and things like that, these players are extremely valuable and important to a team like the San Jose Sharks that is hoping to go on another long playoff run. They're going to need these guys in the lineup. So this is their last, real big opportunity, I would think. I feel like we've been saying that for a couple of years now, but Doug Wilson has found a way to keep this team relevant and giving them a chance to win a Stanley Cup. So taking a look at the lines for the San Jose Sharks, the first line, you have Timo Meier, Logan Couture, and Kevin Labanc. So, and Kevin Labanc's on that list. He's going to be a free agent next summer. That's a pretty big piece right there for the San Jose Sharks. So they got to figure out a way to lock him up. Second, actually, now that I think about it, I believe Kevin Labanc might have signed a contract. I'm not too sure on that, but he might have signed an extension. Maybe not, though. I'm not totally sure. Second line, you have Evander Kane, Tomas Hertl, and Alexander Chmelevski. So that's a new guy that I've not really heard too much about. But you have Kane, who, some people love him, some people hate him. He is a prolific goal scorer in the NHL, and he's definitely a better second-line player for sure. He's a good fit there with the San Jose Sharks. And Tomas Hertl down the middle, he's a great center down the middle, and they're going to need him to continue to really be a dominant presence there, especially on the second line. Obviously, Couture kind of won the first line role there, but Tomas Hertl is a pretty good player in his own right. And then taking a look at the third line, it's a decent third line. You have Marcus Sorensen coming back, Joe Thornton coming back as well. That's a huge thing. They're getting Joe Thornton back because they really lack center depth on the San Jose team. So having Joe Thornton come back on that third line role, he should be okay there. Again, as long as he can stay healthy, that's really the end goal here for the Sharks, trying to keep Jumbo Joe healthy. On the wing, you could also throw him at center as well, but he's probably better suited on the third line, is Melker Karlsson, who can also play center. He's going to be a free agent as well next summer, so he's going to be looking to have a pretty good year for himself. Maybe get get another paycheck, maybe a longer term deal if he moves away from San Jose. And then the fourth line looks totally different. You have Ivan Chekovich, Dylan Gambrell, and Johnny Brodzinski. Brodzinski I've heard of from the Minnesota Wild, but I believe that's another Brodzinski. But this is a totally new fourth line. We did see a little bit of some of these guys coming up toward the end of the season and into the playoffs because of the injuries with the San Jose Sharks. But these guys are full-timers now with the San Jose Sharks. And this is something I'm going to keep an eye on with the San Jose Sharks, especially in the beginning of the year, seeing how well these kids play. I really don't know too much about them, so this is a team I'm really going to keep an eye on, especially in the beginning of the season, just to see what that depth, kind of looks like for the Sharks. One thing that won't be in question, and from me included, and everyone else, is the back end for the San Jose Sharks. Really solid back end. Some critics would say that it's not very defensive oriented in terms of a back end. They're very offensive, push the puck forward, and you might risk, some bad turnovers and odd man rushes the other way. But, the Sharks have been a really solid team for the past decade now. So they're doing something right, and I'm sure the defense is a part of that. First line for the Sharks, you got Marc-Edouard Vlasic and Brent Burns. No shocks there. That's what it's been for the Sharks for a while now. Brent Burns has to stay healthy. I think he'll be okay. I think he's going to have a good season this year. He knows that this is kind of, on the tail end of this Sharks team. I think he's going to have a big piece of that. Marc-Edouard Vlasic, I'm a little bit more concerned about. We saw that he signed that big contract last summer. I'm a little bit concerned about what we're going to see from Vlasic this year. Hopefully he proves me wrong, but I am a little bit worried. I just have that gut feeling. Vlasic's going to be out of the lineup with injuries and things like that. Hopefully that's not the case, but I don't know. I just have a weird feeling in my, something's telling me something's off with Vlasic this year. We won't be seeing that from Brendan Dillon. Brendan Dillon on the second pair along with Erik Karlsson. Brendan Dillon's going to want to be in the lineup as much as he can, especially playing in that top four of the Sharks defense, because he's going to look to get paid next summer. So he's going to probably get better numbers in the top four than on the third pair. Karlsson, he's in for the long haul now. Again, he is one I'm pretty concerned about in terms of his health. He needs to stay healthy. We saw that, that foot injury. Things do not look good for that injury. Hopefully things heal. Hopefully things get better. He just signed that super contract. Hoping for the best there for him, because I like him as a player. I liked him in Ottawa. Everything he had to deal with, he doesn't want to deal with that ever again. And I don't think anybody really wants to see him deal with what he did again. So hopefully he's just able to stay up there in San Jose for the rest of his career and just, make his money and live off the coast, there in California. Okay, so the third pair. Now this is a little bit interesting. Some newer names. One of them I've actually heard of before. Radim Simek, who he's coming from Europe, and Jacob Middleton, who I believe is a first, second, or third round pick over the past couple of years from the Sharks. I do remember hearing his name. This is a guy that the Sharks are hoping to groom into a top four role, I would think. In the event that Brendan Dillon is out of the lineup, as at the beginning of next season, if they can't re-sign him, I would think that a guy like Middleton would try and jump into that top four role, and he would kind of be able to, fall behind the guys of Karlsson, Vlasic, and Burns. So you may not have, too much of an issue in terms. He's not going to deal with everything. He's going to be a little bit covered there with the Sharks. Then you got the goaltending. No shocks here. Pretty much the same as last year, which could be a little bit concerning. You have Martin Jones and Aaron Dell. So no shocks there. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Overall with the Sharks, so now it's the fun time to decide what are my predictions for the Sharks. If you haven't seen already, we're finishing up a series. Preseason rankings. I have all four divisions, and I rank each team in each division. Make sure to check out the Pacific Division, and you'll get a better idea of what I think of the Sharks. But I have the Sharks making the playoffs for sure, and I think the reason I feel that way is, they're one of the probably the more deep teams in that division, and that's not really saying much. They've lost a lot of depth over the past 2 years now, going on these playoff runs, and you wonder, you've lost all these draft picks and lost all these guys in free agency. How much more can the Sharks really handle at this point in time? But we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Sharks. I do have them finishing in the top 3 at the very least in that Pacific Division. The only teams that I could really see, maybe coming on, I don't know. I have a weird feeling that Edmonton can maybe do something, and I'm not too concerned about the Vegas Golden Knights. I think the Golden Knights are going to be in the mix there. Definitely in the Pacific Division. And then you got the Sharks. So Let me know what you guys think of the San Jose Sharks in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of the Sharks, where they're going to finish this season. And thank you for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Check out the rest of our playlist here as the Summer Report series is starting to wind down. It's starting to get colder here here on Long Island in New York. And we're getting ready for the fall. So thank you for watching and have a good day.